Hey there, SOS 232 folks. Hopefully you're doing well, and hopefully, fingers crossed, while there are a lot of slides this module, the Jamovi commands and really even your statistical analysis is going to feel very similar to what we did last module. We're only going to expand basically a line or two. And so hopefully this Jamovi experience video tutorial is going to feel a lot shorter than the other ones because really all we're doing is making sure that the chi-square test of significance is going to be attached to your contingency tables and your analyses for your homework and for your blog post. All right, so for example, for our problem 0, based on the review on what we're about to do, as well as our lecture and all those things, we're going to go ahead and we're going to try to produce a contingency table as well as a chi-square test of significance that corresponds to the proposition gun law is it related to degrees. So basically, are we saying, does the level of education completed have an association or relationship to the output, the disposition of whether you are in favor or oppose concealed carry or permits or something for gun laws? And so ideally, we want to get this information here. So we're going to go through the steps, make sure everything clicks into place through our little tutorial, and check and make sure if it doesn't, we'll figure out what's wrong. All right, so to begin, we're going to go ahead and open up Jamovi. And if you don't have the data set already open, go ahead and hit those 3 little squares. Go to open, make sure that this PC is done. Go to browse, and I want to go to my data, and I'm going to pull up the 2012 GSS. Let the opening run through, and it shouldn't be too horrible. But now we get all of our information produced. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to check just briefly to make sure that the variables I want to use, namely the variable for whether you're in favor or oppose gun ownership, as well as whether you are, what degree level you have. So I'm going to go ahead and go to the exploration descriptives, and this is sort of the pre-existing work. To be honest, I know that I shouldn't have pre-existing work, but if I go to gun laws, and let's just search through. Maybe gun law, there we go. As well as the degree. I can put both these things into there and use frequency tables and check. And it looks like, according to our frequency tables, I don't have anything other than favor and oppose. And then the categories for degree, bachelor, graduate high school, junior college, less than high school. There's nothing that seems to be missing in terms of our viewpoints of the don't know, not applicable, so on. So we are safe. We don't have to do any data cleaning. But if you needed to, go back to module 3. Check the Jamovi tutorial for that, and you should be good to go. So now we want to go ahead and we want to perform our sort of propositional statistical test eventually on the proposition, does gun ownership get impacted or does it vary based on your degree level? Not gun ownership, gun approval, favor, or oppose for gun control. So go ahead and go to frequencies, independent samples, and we're going to do something that's almost identical to what we did in module 3. That's why I said this is going to be a short video, because we did a lot of this stuff already in module 3. So in this case, because I want to have gun law be the variable we're going to explore as our disposition variable, I'm going to make sure that is in our rows. And degree, which is the property, their background, we're going to treat it as the column. And once I add those two values in there, I can get all the tallies, the frequencies in each of these sort of cross tabulation. And then we're almost done. We're just going to make sure we have cells, and we want to look at the column percentages as well, because we're going to actually look to see how the favor of gun ownership or gun permits and so on changes among the different degree level recipients. So whether you're in favor of it and how it changes. And it looks like if I were to just eyeball it, you get 73%, 76%, 72.8, 74, 75.4. It looks like there's like 3.2% difference between the highest in favor and the lowest in favor. That doesn't seem like a lot in terms of our practical differences. So I already suspect we're not going to see a lot of distinction here. And it doesn't look that these two things are very affected by each other. It seems like they're kind of independent of each other, not very associated. And it also should automatically provide you the chi-square test. If you look at the chi-square test, we get your chi-square value, your degrees of freedom, as well as this p-value. That p-value is sort of testing it on depending on how your significance level is, or how low it may be. And usually significance levels are maybe 1%, 5%, 10%. Honestly, typically not beyond 10%. This or point, 0.01, 0.05, 0.10. This is 0.916. You would need basically something that's a have a very high chance. If I were to say that these two things were associated, the claiming this based on the idea that maybe it isn't, you would get results like this about 92% of the time, and you'd be wrong in claiming association. So this is a, let's say, kind of trash p-value. This p-value is really, really high. And yeah, it looks like we get all we need, shows no relationship as well. If this wasn't popping up for some strange reason, maybe you hit a button on accident or something, no worries. Just go make sure you go to tests. And so here's just values, but I want to go to click on this sort of chi-square, like an x squared value, and make sure that that is check mark checked, and you should have those values. And from there, you just go ahead and you add on to the analyses that you had done in the previous module. That's it. Nice, short, to the point. This part I think will be the easiest. And honestly, the write ups, it's nothing you haven't seen. It's just we don't have a lot of material. So reinforcing, don't stress. You got this. All right. Take care, folks.